And as I continue, ladies and gentlemen, it is day 2 of the lockdown. And I believe as a country that we have the resolve and the tenacity to tide through this challenging phase. And we will win. The curve will be flattened. Most of us will emerge safe out of this. Responsible citizens are doing their bit in every way possible. But there are COVID villains. They are trying to weaken this fight. Tonight on the debate, I will show you examples and talk to you about 5 simple things that we should not be doing if we want to conquer the coronavirus.
It's day 2 of the lockdown and our heroes are leading by example.
छोड़ो कल की बातें, कल की बात पुरानी, नए दौर में लिखेंगे मिलकर नई कहानी. हम हिंदुस्तानी, हम हिंदुस्तानी, हम हिंदुस्तानी, हम हिंदुस्तानी.
Helping the elderly.
सब लोगों को सूचित किया जाता है, आपस में 2 मीटर का डिस्टेंस बनाकर रखें. अपने हाथ लगातार साबुन और पानी से धोते रहें. घर से बाहर कम से कम निकलें. बहुत ही आवश्यक हो तभी घर से बाहर निकलें, अन्यथा घर से बाहर ना निकलें.
Caring for little children.
You can see the eyes of the children, they are quite happy, excited, getting the pizza, sanitizer and mask. They are waiting just because the Chandigarh police thought that they felt bored after being stuck in their homes just because they cannot come out to play.
And working with alacrity to ensure lockdown norms are strictly followed.
You can see that the officers of the Jammu and Kashmir police, they are using the public address system, telling the people to stay indoor, not to come out, maintain a social distance. These Jawans, they are using the public address system.
So here are 5 things all of us can do as citizens to help these warriors. Let us not be callous and break the law like these COVID villains.
The Jammu and Kashmir police is stamping the people on their arms because these are the lockdown violators, and you can see that these people, they have come out despite warning by the Jammu and Kashmir police.
Let us not be insensitive and ostracize those working for us. Let us not be defiant and allow such attacks on those leading from the front. Let us not be selfish. Let us not hoard and crowd vegetable markets. And finally, let us not be in panic. Essential services will be available for us at all points of time.
What you can see behind me is a huge queue. No authorities here, they're outside the entry gas. Huge queue. Lot of people out at one time. This is just day 2 of the lockdown and a clear example of how every violation is being seen right here.
What we do in this lockdown period will decide our future in the face of a pandemic. Let's debate.
This debate is on what we should not do. Republic versus Corona is a non-stop campaign. Nalin Kohli of the BJP, Kiran Majumdar-Shaw, Chairman and Managing Director of Biocon, Dr. Sangeeta Reddy, President of FICCI and Joint Managing Director of the Apollo Hospitals Group, Smita Prakash, the Editor-in-Chief of ANI, Pawan Verma, former diplomat and Member of Parliament, Sona Mahapatra, well-known singer. I think I just lost the Skype link there. Viewers, I want to say one thing to you. If in the course of the next few days, you find our links going on and off a bit, please bear with us because we are also dealing with unusual ways of communicating. Usually our camera persons get live feeds. Now everyone's coming through different forms of video links, so please just bear with us there. But let's keep the information out there. Let me start with an update. There are 649 cases of the coronavirus in India as of today. And I will not lie to you, and I must level with you, viewers, at the start. This number can go either way. Let me repeat. This number can go either way. You can ensure the number is flat, or we can ensure and I don't want to scare you, we can also ensure that there is a massive spike in our country of 130 crores. Our fate is in our hands. The make or break time in our country has come. The next few days are very, very critical. This is a very grim situation. It's a very serious situation. If it explodes, it can enter anyone's home. You cannot think that you will stay safe if the explosion goes beyond one point. Viewers, when we have seen these numbers, active cases almost 600, 13 people have died, 2-week period to flatten the curve. Let me start by asking on the program, Kiran Majumdar-Shaw, how do you think we are doing? How do you think we are doing right now in terms of the curve? Are we anywhere close to flattening the curve? What's the reality?
Well, right now, Arnab, the numbers are looking quite manageable because I think apart from looking at the top line numbers, I think you really have to look at the number of cases in ICU or the serious cases, and you're not seeing too many of them. So I think that kind of gives you the comfort that if you can, in these 21 days, come to the conclusion that the disease is not as serious or as it is in other parts of the world, then you will find that your hospitals may not be overwhelmed. That is what we need to establish with more testing. Yeah. I think what is happening today is that we don't have adequate testing. So I think unless we step up testing, which hopefully now with the introduction of the private labs will happen, I think we will get much more data to show us whether we are tracking in the right direction. But at the moment, the way I look at it is that at least we don't have that many serious cases to worry about in ICUs. And I also believe that, we are seeing a lot of people recovering. So I think the need of the hour is to really test the quarantined patients, get more data out there. I think this 21-day lockout was a fantastic move by the Prime Minister because we need this kind of time for social distancing and to collect the data to give us that zone of comfort.
That is reassuring. That is reassuring. So let me put it simply as I ask Sangeeta Reddy next. Dr. Sangeeta Reddy, I hope my audio is clear to you. WHO authorities who have studied China, Singapore, and South Korea claim that once we have suppressed the transmission, we have to go after the virus. Today, we are only in the phase of suppressing the transmission. Can this become an epidemic of catastrophic proportions in India if you look at the numbers now? What is the graph telling you? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Dr. Reddy? What is the graph telling you? Which way are we headed? I do not think Dr. Reddy is...
I can't hear anything.
Dr. Reddy, let me try it once more. This is Arnab here. I'll speak slowly. It's an important question. My question to you is the same that I asked Kiran Majumdar-Shaw. You manage a big... Okay, I do not think Sangeeta Reddy, we can hear her right now. Let's go to the main point of the debate. I went around Mumbai today. Smita, I went around Mumbai today and I was surprised and shocked. And some of these pictures that we are seeing today are on air. People are not getting the message. They are making mistakes. I wish I could show you some of the reporting I did from Mumbai today. All these pictures are from Mumbai. Look at these pictures. These are the worst. This is the worst affected city. This is the worst affected city in India. And these pictures are from Mumbai. Let us not do this, India. Let us not do this. Let us not be defiant. Let us not be callous. Let us not be insensitive. Let us not be selfish. And let us not be panic-stricken. There are 5 things that I'm saying today, viewers. 5 things. I will put them on graphics clearly so my message goes home. Let us not be insensitive. Let me start with a very important thing right now. Let us not be callous. These crowds are a reflection of our callousness. There is an open defiance of the lockdown order. The visuals from vegetable markets, you see hundreds of bikes, hundreds of people walking casually, no social distancing being maintained, almost like there is no lockdown issued. A completely, Smita, nonchalant attitude. Look at these pictures from Odisha. India is not following the lockdown. All of India is refusing to cooperate. These pictures from Delhi, please don't say, viewers, this is happening in a city away from me. It is happening in a city around you. Look at the crowds out there. Look at the traffic jams. This is so casual. This is so insensitive. Smita, I think we have to put the message.
Arnab?
The explosion can happen anytime, anytime.
Yes, exactly. Arnab, you asked the question to Sangeeta, but if I may step in, though I'm not an expert, but having reported this now for several weeks, let me just say that no, we have not flattened the curve, and there is no flattening of the curve till the 3 stages of isolation are not complete. The 21-day isolation, there's a reason for a 21-day isolation. For the first week, you stay away. Everybody stays home and doesn't get out. The second week, you go after the patients and find out where are the positive patients. During this process, you make sure that the medical facilities are up to date and ready. The medical practitioners have their kits, have their testing kits, have their hazard kits. The hospitals are ready to take in the patients if and when there is need. You keep the isolation ward separate from the other part of the hospital so that there is no contamination, there is no oral and fecal contamination going on between the COVID positives and the other comorbid patients who have come in. This is something which has to be done in the second week, and we as common citizens have to make sure that the healthcare professionals are doing this. At the third stage, we have to provide and we have to be ready that when patients come out, when people come out of that isolation, there could be like a cluster bombing of these positive patients who could be going out. At this point, medicines, kits, everything might need to be even airdropped. I'm not trying to cause a panic out here, but I'm just trying to tell people stay indoors. At the same time, chief ministers, administrators need to know that lab technicians, laboratory professionals, doctors and people who are working on virus care, they need to get to their laboratories, they need to get to their chemist shops, they need to get to their hospitals. So please, please make your police force sensitive that even if they don't have an I-card, even if they don't have a letter, allow lab technicians to get to the laboratories, allow healthcare professionals, sanitary workers to get to the hospitals. I hold my hands in prayer and pleading with the chief ministers of the states, please tell your administrations that give the tenders out. Give the tenders out for ventilators, for sanitizers, for health masks, kits, everything. Just put aside all old laws and regulations and give out tenders now.
But let's talk about what we can do as well.
Have the goods to fight the disease.
But what are we doing? I make the point, I'll show you some pictures from Malegaon in Maharashtra, if I can run those pictures if we have it now. I'm making a point today, let us not be defiant. Sona, I'm coming to you. Let us not be defiant. If I can run the pictures of Malegaon. There are visuals. Are the visuals there with us? There are visuals of all how the AIMIM, leaders of the AIMIM in Malegaon, the local MLA, his name is Maulana Mufti Ismail, and 20 to 25 supporters. If I can run the pictures, they're just going to be on your screen, viewers. They argued and fought at a local hospital in Malegaon. They attacked the doctors and the administrators. These are the pictures. This is what some politicians are doing. They're attacking medical staff. The situation was so bad that the entire hospital staff went out and went on a strike and said that they are not going to work if this continues. There are also policemen. There is a picture in Kolkata of a woman who seems to be breaking lockdown, and then on being stopped, she goes and almost spits on the policeman's white uniform. I'm showing you these instances because it is not my duty to present a tinted glass view of the world right now. We need to see the reality out there. There are pictures from multiple places. If the pictures from Kolkata, and after that the pictures from Telangana. These are the pictures from Agripada in Mumbai. When the police takes action, then the police is attacked in turn by people that the police is being blocked and fought with. This lady spits on a policeman. Look at those pictures out there. This is not defiance. I say tonight, Sona, this is indecency. And this is going to weaken our battle. Then these pictures from Telangana, look at these pictures. A home guard is attacked by two travelers because he stopped them at a check post. This happened in Rangareddy district. And I have pictures from Punjab, where an assistant sub-inspector and a constable were assaulted in the Pattiwali Gully near the old courts by four people for pulling them up on violating curfew. This is also happening in our country. Sona, I think we need to speak up against this. This is not how we will win the battle against corona, by throwing stones and attacking policemen. Sona.
And we have to stop just looking and picking, faults in terms of what others are doing for us. To start with, one quote that comes to my mind is one of my musical heroes, Frank Zappa. He said that, if there is one thing which is more abundant in quantity in the world outside of hydrogen, it's stupidity. Because hydrogen is said to be the most abundant element of the world, but he says stupidity is something that goes beyond even, hydrogen in terms of abundance. And to start with, I think there are experts who have spoken amazingly, and yes, it's in our hands. I think people have to just look back, step back, and figure out as to what they can do. I have just two things to say. To start with, please do not attack people from the Northeast and call them Corona and Chinese and God knows what. All these racial, ridiculous hate needs to be kept aside. You need to just stay at home. Nobody is going to starve to death. Because, we are used to very perfect lives, but we can make do with what we have, and none of us are going to wither away. So this whole panic is understandable, but at the same time, we just need to hold back and understand that what is more critical is everything that the experts are explaining to us. Apart from that, I think information and solutions that are coming our way, like my parents are elderly, they're living alone. Even they didn't know that staying at home is quarantine, not just roaming around in the society as long as they don't step out. So all of us, in very basic layman terms, need to be spreading very 1, 2, 3 kind of, solutions to the near and dear ones, friends and family. And yes, I thought the Prime Minister's directive about picking up at least 9 families that you can help who might not be as privileged and as comfortable as we are. If each one of us can pick up a few families and help them in this time, monetarily or any which way, share what we have at home, and hoarding, hoarding is something so, I was, going to pick up some essentials a few days back, and I saw a man who was hoarding food.
Yeah, I saw that as well today.
I speak as a layman,
Sona,
and
that is the another point that I was making here today, that I think, and the important thing is not to be selfish. The third point I want to come to is that let us not be selfish. It is crucial that in such times, we as citizens refuse to resort to panic buying. And in equal vein, shops and grocers with stock available refuse to put their shutters down and charge exorbitant prices. So it happens in both sides.
Rumor mongering is going to happen in times of crisis, but we have to believe that it will take time for some systems to come into place.
Correct.
But I think the state governments and the central government are working in tandem. It will take a couple of days for supply chains to come into place, but we have to have the patience. Moong dal khichdi bhi kha le 3 din to koi mar nahi jayega. That's a harsh way to put it. But we need to, pull up our socks.
You see, this is an example of panic. I'll show you these pictures which are on the screen. Can we run them full frame? You know, there is a huge panic, for example, for LPG. I'd like to go to Nalin Kohli and Pawan Verma. We're taking our time through every conversation because we need to look at what is happening. Viewers, the next thing I would tell you today, as a journalist and as a citizen, the need of the hour is that we refuse to be pessimistic also. We must not crib about every inconvenience over economic packages for corporates or losing access to social gatherings when all of it fades in comparison to what our heroes are doing in hospitals, fumigation services to ensure the lockdown is abided by. And I think it's a good time to look at what the corona warriors are doing. I'll show you three pictures: Mumbai, Agra and Delhi. Okay, look at the pictures. In Mumbai, policemen are distributing food. Is it their job to be distributing food? Is that their job profile? No. But look at the pictures there. They are distributing food. In Agra, they are distributing food. The Delhi, I have a picture of an SHO distributing food. In Gujarat, there are people who are making cotton masks for free to ensure there is no shortage. In Uttar Pradesh, policemen have stocked 1.2 lakh masks in 20 days. In Jammu and Kashmir, the Indian Army is distributing sanitizers. A 21-year-old nurse from Panipat, working for a private hospital, has tested positive, taking the total number of infected persons in the state to 17. Now this nurse has been right there at the front. You know, Pawan Verma, these people are putting their lives at risk. And I think we need to only reciprocate by staying home and decongesting every part of our society. However, it is still not happening, Pawan Verma. What more can we do? What are we missing out?
Arnab, I want to say something important to you. And I'll need 50 seconds, 60 seconds to do so. And I want you to listen because I think people like you and the media can play a very important role. First of all, the country is facing a national crisis. And the steps that have been taken by the government and the Prime Minister to impose a 21-day lockdown, I believe, was essential and timely. Now, when such a lockdown is imposed, there are bound to be inconveniences of a minor nature and major consequences economically which will also unfold. There are two Indias we are dealing with. One is India, where you can eat mung khichdi, sit at home and spend relative time somehow and survive. And another India outside, which consists of migrant labor, daily wage labor, etc., who need to go out and work, and therefore imposing a lockdown has its economic consequences. The government has taken the right step today, I believe, in coming out with an economic package. But here is the point I'm trying to make. The government alone, for all its efforts, which are laudable, cannot deal with the consequences of this lockdown in a manner which achieves its principal goal of making people remain in their homes and achieve social distancing unless the relatively privileged in our country, following the great tradition of Paropkar, which is part of our civilizational legacy, come out and do more for those who are on the margins, the needy, the underprivileged and the deprived. I make this call to you by reminding you, in the 1962 war, middle-class people sold jewelry to help the national cause. Lal Bahadur Shastri made a call of missing a meal in order to ensure that food is available for the poor and the needy. I tell you today, the time has come, by the best traditions of our own religion and civilization, by which the relatively privileged, apart from maintaining their self-isolation and social distancing, need to partner with the government. We need public-private partnership. We need the nation to come together in order to be able to face the consequences of this lockdown and ensure that its goals are achieved. You showed pictures of the police doing what it is. Why only the police? Why are relatively privileged middle-class housing colonies turning hostile to their own merely because they are corona warriors fighting in the trenches for these very people? What is this citadel mentality that this disease I will fight by staying safe myself and not contributing in some way? That is important in terms of the nation coming together, bridging the India versus Bharat divide and fighting it together. I urge the media to start a campaign. I think all political parties should be taken into confidence to bring in those people who can help, those who are relatively privileged. I think the corporate sector is going through very trying time, and yet we can request them, we can ask them, we can beseech them, we can implore them, we can ask them to partner, because it is a national crisis. Everybody must contribute in trying to ensure that the goals of the lockdown are achieved. No one goes hungry. The government can only do so much, Arnab. We are spending $22.8 billion. China has spent close to $80 billion. 191 million people in India do not have bank accounts. How do you reach succor to them? You reach succor to them by civil society paropkar, where people adopt families. The Prime Minister said, on every day of the Navratri, each person who can should ensure that 9 people at least do not go hungry to bed. This is not a political speech. This is in the best traditions. Ram, Maryada Purushottam Ram is called Deen Dayala, sensitive to the needy. He is called Karuna Sukh Sagar, compassionate. This is what we need to do as a society, as a nation, where we come together and the relatively privileged don't withdraw into their own citadels of relative comfort, but come out and partner with the government, to ensure that what is required is achieved. They become warriors themselves, rather than merely watching warriors on television and keeping them out of their sight or in their proximity. I think that is the need of the hour today. And I think all of us need to launch a campaign, because this is a national crisis and the nation must come together.
I am completely with you, and I mentioned 4 things before I go to Nalin. I want to mention the 5th thing. I was just about to say it, Pawan Verma, but you took the words from my mouth, and I completely reciprocate your sentiments today, which is why I listened to you very keenly. Nalin, I mentioned 4 things. Let's not be callous. India, let's not be defiant of the law. Let's not be selfish. Let's not hoard. Let's not be pessimistic or panic-stricken either. But I missed a 5th, which Pawan Verma is now taking me towards. India, let us not be insensitive, please. Let us not be insensitive. I give you one example before I bring Nalin in. And I agree this is not a political debate. But the question is, this is not the time to terminate private security guards who have been serving at shut theaters and malls. This is not the time to compel organizations like the Central Association of Private Security Guards to say that despite notifications, despite the guidelines issued by the Home Ministry and the Department of Labor, the first people who were losing their job was the security guards. I think that's selfish. Whether at housing societies or in other establishments, do you think really that we cannot afford to ensure that the family of the security guard has food on their table? Corporates seeking benefits, let me tell you, be warned, the people of this country are watching you as well. Have a heart. Show your heart. It is imperative you don't attack or abuse, but it's also imperative that you do your duty to those, to have a humane approach. I'd like Nalin Kohli to go on to speak a little bit more on this, because I agree with Pawan Verma. Everything to push it towards the government is putting a responsibility that the government, even if it can do, should not be forced to do alone. Nalin.
Thank you, Mr. Goswami. And I think, Arnab, you've raised, this has been a very, very constructive discussion. It's not been a debate at all. And that's very, very important at this time. To start with, I think we need to recognize and reiterate the fact that everyday ordinary Indians who are there fighting this on the front line, from a ward boy to someone who's in the sanitation, someone who's a doctor, a nurse, are leaving families knowing that they even keep their families at risk because they are going out there on the front line and literally fighting disease. We need to recognize, applaud that. For the police whom every day we literally demonize, we find fault with, we need to recognize that these are those people who stand there and do when no one else is there to do something. Now, certainly there is always scope for improvement, but they are doing it for whom? They are ultimately doing it, again, leaving their families behind for the country. We need to recognize these things, and I think in countless ways, Indians are also rising to the occasion. For example, when Prime Minister Modi spoke about Swachh Bharat and cleanliness, today, washing hands, at least as one major step towards fighting disease, is becoming a national movement. And this is being done across the spectrum. So when you say we need to be human, we need to be more humane, certainly, because we need to recognize that somewhere this is a time to sit back, reflect, pause, because we've been forced into a pause mode. No one, and a lot of generations born since 1945, haven't seen a global calamity. How the human race gets together, then comes out of it, how they bond, how they emote, and how they take on the challenge. So there have been a number of generations who are born literally handling what they were born into, which is no global challenge per se. So I think this is a great opportunity also for us to be innovative and for us to see that we build our linkages and strengthen the country. When you're talking about that, yes, we don't take jobs, certainly that's cruel. How can it be done at this time? It's impossible to contemplate. The Prime Minister appealed. The Prime Minister gave no directive. Did Prime Minister Narendra Modi say that I'm saying that you needn't do it like this? He said we need to be compassionate. And if someone, despite that, is going against our civilizational heritage has Karuna a part of it. And Karuna and compassion is something on the basis of which we even was an important part of our freedom struggle. So today, if someone's doing that, is not a true Indian. We need to recognize and, in a sense, even shame those examples that come out. Because while we have these bad examples, Arnab, we have also the examples of others who are going out there and doing more than they can do and doing it with selflessly. So I think it's a good time for all of us to work together and keep the spirit going, because we will come out of this. The government is determined. India is determined.
Absolutely. And it's important that we spend this time through these days also introspecting together. In conclusion, I will only say that whatever we are going through, this hardship, this difficulty, and this anxiety will pass, viewers. This is transient. We don't know how long this transition period will be, but it will transit only to something that is better, and the country will be stronger. On the other side tonight, we are opening the phone calls tonight. It's a very special edition of my debate this evening, where we are going to try and answer your questions on the lockdown. Remember, the Ministry of Home Affairs has issued revised guidelines. So many of you have questions. We are going to try our level best to answer your questions live on my program tonight. See you in a few minutes.